but the stone buried here is written in Aramaic. In other words, the people then living here spoke in the everyday language of the Israelite tribes. We came here with a local elder in the hope of photographing it, but in its present state that proved impossible.
It's under here. The stone is very big and there is ancient writing all over it. Same hard surface as this one, but no one can get to it now. This is definitely the place. There's no point in looking any further.
We did look further. We were tipped off that across the border in Pakistan there was another stone rarely mentioned by Western scholars.
Look at that. There it is, right over there.
What is it? What is it?
Here, the stone was accessible. To our surprise, we discovered that it too was not written in Sanskrit, but in the Aramaic alphabet.
I see all the letters, the Aleph, the Ain, and I'm standing in front of this 2,300-year-old postcard from the Lost Tribes. And when we pack up our gear and we go, and I'm like in shock, because I didn't expect to find it. I was thinking it's in Kandahar. I didn't know there was another one here. And there's two more in places we didn't go. And one has on it the Hebrew month of Elul. So then this guide comes up to me and they told me, don't say you're Jewish, don't say anything, because people here are very Muslim, they may not take kindly to you. So he says, why were you able to read that? And I feel, I don't want to lie to this guy. And I said, because I'm a Jew. And this person, who's supposed to be my enemy, leans over with tears in his eyes, embraces me, and says, then you are my brother. So maybe it was happening. Maybe the end of time was unfolding. I was standing there and I got goosebumps. I said, wait a minute, is this it? Am I making a film, or am I turning into the reporter from Armageddon? But then something struck me. We never found people who claimed to be Cohens, priests. And that's a big problem, because if we're really analyzing prophecy, return of the tribes leads to Messianic times leads to the rebuilding of the temple of God in Jerusalem, and that leads to the renewed rituals that take place there, and that requires a ritually pure caste of priests. And there are none among the tribes, and in Western Jews, none that can claim that they are ritually pure descendants of this priestly class. So what's going on here? On the one hand, it seems that prophecy is unfolding, and on the other hand, key characters in the biblical drama are missing.
Perhaps we had stumbled on some kind of eternal punishment. Preserved in their tribal units on the edges of deserts, the lost Israelites were waiting for a redemption that would never come. Or perhaps everything we thought we had found was a passing mirage. There was one lead we hadn't followed, one tribe whose descendants we had not encountered, the tribe of Asher. Since the Cohen priests were not living among the other tribes, perhaps if we located Asher, we would find the key to the Cohen enigma.
Is it possible that there's a little enclave somewhere of pure Cohens, kept there until the blast of the great horn? The tribes have come home. The heavenly trumpets will call them out and say, do your priestly duty. For that, we went looking to the place that Asher would be. They were seafarers, and they were in alliance with the Canaanites. They sailed the seas together. And the biggest Phoenician or Canaanite colony was in Carthage, modern Tunisia. So we went to the one place we hadn't been to look for the one tribe that we had made no contact with, and just a few hundred kilometers down the road, off the coast of Tunisia, there's an island. And on that island, there's a community that have been there since biblical times.
The name of the island is Djerba. It is home to a Jewish community that Tunisians value for its silversmiths.
Most historians maintain the theory that the Jewish community in Djerba is the oldest community in Jewry in the whole world. Some of them, they say that the Jewish community was established even before the construction of the first temple.
What we now learned is that the community is split into two distinct quarters. One for Spanish Jews who arrived here in the 16th century, and one made up not of Asherites, but of Cohens, and no one else.
There is a small quarter on the island near the ancient synagogue. There is a bigger Jewish neighborhood called the Large Quarter. The larger quarter is mainly made up of Jews who arrived here after their expulsion from Spain. Also, other Jews of various ethnic backgrounds came to live there. The smaller quarter, on the other hand, is made up essentially of Cohen priests who arrived here after the destruction of the first temple in Jerusalem in biblical times.
The story goes that this community was founded in biblical times by temple priests that quarreled with the religious hierarchy in Jerusalem. Here they found a place of refuge, setting up the Griba synagogue, which locals still consider one of the holiest sites in Judaism. According to the Cohen's tradition, the Griba contains a treasure trove of